All right. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame show presented by BetUS. Look, was that a victory that is going to extinguish all of the points of consternation that have been flying around Knicks land over the last, I guess, feels like it's been 5 weeks. I think it's been 5 days in reality. No, it's not. Same issues that were here, I think, probably going into this game are going to, for the most part, remain after this game. But it's good to get a win. It's good for us, the fan base, to get a win because, it could get pretty ugly out there when this team is not winning games. The conversation could get a little unpleasant, despite the fact that their record is what it is and their overall resume is what it is. So the win was important. And, look, these guys are human. I'm sure the win was important to them too. And you heard Josh Hart say it after the last game when he talked about, look, there are nights we're not going to shoot it well. There are nights we're not going to have our best energy. Got to figure out a way to get wins. So to sit here and pretend like regular season wins don't matter, even though they, especially with what Cleveland did tonight, although Cleveland probably ran away and hid weeks ago, they're for all intents and purposes probably locked into the playoff bracket where they are, but it doesn't matter. The Knicks haven't won a blessed thing. Having this iteration of the team hasn't even been to a conference finals. They are still until we know it, and we'll know it when we know it. They are in prove it mode. This entire season, to a certain extent, is a prove it mode season, and I think if I have had one theme of this year, it is that it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to look perfect. It's not going to feel perfect. The stats aren't going to be perfect. But what you want to see is progress. And you want to see signs of progress that I think are signs of progress that you could feel good about and that you could take to the bank and that you could feel like, okay, these are meaningful. And so you got a crappy Raptors team coming in here in the middle of January, not exactly prove it grounds. Friday will be, needless to say, against OKC. Shout out to T Squared Social. Everybody come down for the watch party. We're running it back again, hopefully with a different result this time. That's a prove it game. Tonight, Raptors are not a prove it type of opponent, but for the Knicks where they're at right now, having lost 3 games in a row, in somewhat dispiriting fashion, I would argue that each one was more dispiriting than the previous one. The OKC game wasn't dispiriting, but look, he still got ran off the court. In the fourth quarter, he got outscored by 18. It didn't matter who the opponent was tonight, frankly. Anybody other than the Wizards, I don't know, maybe the Jazz. It did not matter who the opponent was tonight. And by the way, this was a game for 3 quarters. This was a game. The Knicks ended up going up by 26 in the fourth quarter, and we'll talk about some of the reasons why they ended up running away with this game. But this was absolutely a game. I'm not going to say who it was. He knows who he is, and those who are on the halftime know who he is. But I had someone on the halftime Zoom predicting that the Knicks were going to get blown out in the second half. But here's, God's honest truth, I disagreed at the time. I said I would be very surprised if that happened. But based on the way they've been playing, if that was to transpire, would you be blown away, or would you be like, man, something's up with this team? I think it would have been the latter. The fact that they came out in the third quarter, and especially in the beginning of the fourth quarter, and did what they needed to do to secure the win, hashtag meaningful. Now, all that being said, what are the issues that we've been talking about recently? We've been talking about a lot of minutes for the starters. Did that issue go away tonight? I mean, we got a 2-minute reprieve there at the end to prevent OG Anunoby and Josh Hart from playing 40 minutes because that's what they were on pace to play. They both still played 38. Mikal Bridges played 36. Jalen Brunson played 35. Karl Towns played 34. Again, everything is in context. In an average game, if those are your minute totals for your starters, no one's saying anything. If it's an isolated thing, even if it's 2 or 3 games in a row, when those numbers are your averages, and Mikal Bridges' average is obviously a little bit higher than that. OG, Josh Hart, they're a little bit lower than that. And then you start to see what you've been starting to see. So, but what I will say, and everybody knows what side of the minutes narrative I fall on. I am a proponent of like I've said, I don't know how many different ways I could say it. I watched shit basketball for the vast majority of my life because an organization not only didn't know how to win, they didn't seem to care about winning. And they went out and they hired the guy who cares about winning more than anything. He cares about breathing. So I am always going to take whatever lumps come with that decision because to me, it's worth it 10 times out of 10. Can I sit here and say the minutes aren't taking their toll? I don't know for sure, but I do. And again, I'll shout out the halftime Zoom. Ben Kingervy got on there at halftime. He said, forget the minutes. I didn't like their energy from the start, and I kind of agreed with him. Their energy from the start was a little like wishy-washy. It was like kind of how they started the Orlando game, pussyfooting around a little bit, not really going for the throat like we saw as the game went on in the second half and in the beginning of the fourth quarter. That's the Knicks team that we know that has been at their best this year. The team that puts the clamps down on defense, which we know they're capable of doing from time to time. I thought they absolutely did it at the start of the fourth quarter, and obviously runs you off the court on offense. And like I thought their energy looked pretty good there in that stretch of the game in the second half after all those guys had already played at or around 30 minutes. So I think there's always two sides of the argument with this stuff. It's like people are going to have their thing that they want to believe, and then they're going to latch on to the evidence that supports their argument. And then when there's evidence that is maybe not as supportive of their argument, they're going to kind of dismiss that. And that goes for everybody. That goes for whatever side of the argument you're on, So minutes thing, not going away with this game. Shooting struggles, not necessarily going away with this game either. Jalen Brunson, it was lovely to see him hit that step back three to start the second half. Took two more, after attempting only one 3-pointer in the first half, after attempting only one 3-pointer against Orlando, and it was a three he didn't even want to take. It was at the end of the clock. Took two more threes in the second half after making that step back. Didn't make either of them. One was a nice catch and shoot opportunity that didn't go in. So I whether he, has started to correct his shooting slump remains to be seen. Mikal Bridges all of a sudden is in a little bit of a slump. It was nice to see him hit his last three and still ended up 2 for 11 on the night from deep. Other than that, I thought he played a pretty good game. His shot wasn't on tonight. And then I've been talking for a while now, and I haven't mentioned the biggest difference between this game and the Orlando game. And as should surprise nobody, I am going to bring up Karl-Anthony Towns. When they made the trade for Cat, at no time did I even entertain the notion. And I'm anybody who thinks I'm not a huge Karl-Anthony Towns fan, go watch my trade reaction. Go watch anything I've said about the guy since the Knicks have gotten him. The talent and the ability to use that talent to prop up everything else you do on the floor, especially obviously mostly on the offensive end, is, I mean, it's top notch. Still, never in a million years did I think that anyone other than Jalen Brunson on this team would be their MVP candidate. And the early MVP, ladder articles started coming out, and there was Towns there, and it wasn't Brunson. He was like, I don't agree with that. And even as recently as a few weeks ago, when Towns was ahead of Brunson in the MVP, the straw poll, the Bontemps poll that came out after 27 games, I'm like, I think those guys are looking at stats. I don't think they're watching games. Now we're 10 games, I think, roughly 10 games since that straw poll came out. I think Towns is pulled ahead of Brunson. I think there is a damn good argument that he is the most important player on this team because of some of the struggles right now. And again, it's this conversation, everything's connected. Because of some of Brunson's struggles right now, when he is on the court, his impact is not nearly as significant as when Towns is out there. Now, Brunson is still having a positive impact, and you see that when he goes out of the game, because there are times where they just can't get into their sets and they can't make much happen. But when Towns is out there, even when he's out there without Brunson, and I thought it was notable that the stretch where they pulled away in this game was where Brunson was on the bench and Towns was out there with the lineup of, I believe it was Payne, Hart, Cat was definitely out there, OG, and I'm pretty sure Bridges was in there. Bridges had taken the place of Achua. Pretty sure, but I also actually now I'm like second guessing myself. I'm wondering if Shammer was out there. No, I think it was Bridges. Whatever. It was a non-Brunson lineup that really kind of ran away with the game. And he's what a spectacular player that he is. I mean, I should probably read his stat line. Because I mean his stat lines at this point, they're just kind of silly. And we just kind of see these numbers and we're like, what do you like 27 points on 14 shots? And we look at that like, okay, yeah, it's a Karl-Anthony Towns game. Great. 13 rebounds, like it's nothing. Couple of blocks, 3 steals, couple of assists. Like and as Clyde said, he makes it all look so easy. And he's a vital piece for them now. They're not the same team when he's not out there. I honestly, it might sound crazy to some people. I don't even think they're the same team on defense out there. And I know Precious Achiuwa has replaced Jericho Sims in the rotation. I think more for his offensive capabilities than his defensive capabilities. I like just Towns out there, his size, his defensive rebounding. I think he's just cleaned it up a lot. Yes, he still does the stupid fouls, and yes, they are incredibly frustrating. I get it. I am willing to live with those again 10 times out of 10. It's fine. So kudos Karl-Anthony Towns. He is awesome. Also awesome, and also scoring 27 points in this basketball game was OG Anunoby, who seems to be having just a dandy old time playing his old team. 27 points on 13 shots for him. Actually took one fewer shot. How funny is this? I'm pretty sure the last time the Knicks played the Raptors, if I'm not mistaken, both OG Anunoby and Karl-Anthony Towns had 30, I think it was 30 or 31 points. I forget what it was, on 15 shots. I believe they had the identical stat lines. And I went and I looked and I popped it in my newsletter after that game. Like they both did it in the same game. And that was something that had been done so I forget what I found, but it's something like 2 or 3 times over the course of a decade, like recently in Knicks history. And they both did it in the same game. And tonight they both only finished with 27 points, but on fewer shots. They almost basically did the same thing again. I thought OG Anunoby, was it a perfect game from him? No, but it was pretty darn close to perfect. And when he decided he was going to make his imprint felt on this game from a defensive standpoint in the fourth quarter, you saw it. But the biggest thing for OG for this one is they just needed someone to hit threes. Towns, I'm pretty sure he was perfect from behind the arc. Yeah, he was 3 of 3 because, of course, he was perfect from behind the arc. But we know he does not. He's like, we've seen enough. He's not going to shoot a ton. He only took 3 tonight. Sometimes he'll take 5 or 6, but he's never going to be a volume guy from 3. They need someone else. They needed going into tonight, someone else desperately needed someone else who was confident in firing away from 3 without hesitation, and who was actually going to hit some threes. And OG Anunoby stepped up to the plate. Yes, it was nice that Josh Hart hit his first 3 and his last 3. Nice bookends there for Josh Hart. But it was really OG, and I thought his 3-point shooting tonight was absolutely vital. They tried to get it to him down low a bunch of times. Most of the time it worked out better than not. So those are definitely your two players of the game. Josh Hart did some nice things as well. Although the thing I will say about Hart, and this gets us to the other, I think, for me at least, main issue that maybe we've been seeing lately, and shout out to Hot Hand Theory with Jeff and XJ. I went on their show last night, and we kind of, and they've talked a lot about whether Hart should start or not. And I've always been a proponent of Hart starting, because when it's going good, it goes freaking great. I mean, think about it. A week ago, we were having, or at least me, I was like, not should we be having a Josh Hart All-Star conversation, because was never going to be a thing. But I'm like, in different circumstances, if this team was like just as good and they didn't maybe have some of the other supporting pieces that they do in the starting lineup, and he was putting up his exact stat line, would we be maybe having that conversation? He was that good. But then when he gets a little hesitant and it's a little bit more stagnant, and his lack of quick trigger from behind the arc, like the guys he plays with, when that starts to really be a weapon for other teams as opposed to the Knicks, because when the Knicks are at their best, they are able, and you saw this a little bit in the second half. Some of it was just Josh Hart getting offensive rebounds. I think he ended up for the game with 6 offensive rebounds tonight for Josh Hart. Of course, nearly had a triple-double, 21 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. But when the Knicks are at their best, you saw it a little bit tonight, they take how teams play them, play Josh Hart specifically, and they use it to their advantage. And in the first half of this game, I did not think that they did a great job of that. I thought they let the Raptors' aggressiveness in that area as much as anything in terms of how they played Hart. And then when you combine that with the guy who's initiating pretty much every possession, and Jalen Brunson not being confident from deep, and he just seems off right now, if we're being honest. It's apples and oranges. So it was nice to see the oranges in the second half, which were much better. As far as the bench goes, we got these numbers are maybe a little skewed because Landry Shamet played some garbage time, but I thought he ran with Shamet for a good portion of this game. Shamet now, with Deuce McBride out, seems solidly in the 6-man role all of a sudden. It kind of happened quickly, but when you look at how Cameron Payne has been playing, and I did not think he did himself any favors tonight. I mean, we had some calls on halftime. Shout out Kevin, to maybe have Kolek instead of him in the second half, which I didn't think was nuts. But Shamet, I thought Shamet was good. He did a couple nice things. You saw him get a nice tip out on what would end up being a Precious Achiuwa dunk. That was a nice play. Defensively, he did some nice things. So I thought Shamet was pretty good. Precious had a couple moments, which are always nice to see Precious moments, because you're always going to get some moments that are not as nice. Had that big block, which was cool. But again, there were depth issues and concerns about the productivity of the bench going into this game. Those concerns are still going to be there after this game. It is what it is. But I will just, finish up the monologue by saying good win on the whole. I think this is a win that every Knicks fan, again, despite the fact that they didn't necessarily solve any of their problems tonight, sometimes the biggest problem to solve is just getting a W. And so I think it's a win that every Knicks fan should feel good about. I mean, they were up by 26 points in this game. I don't that's not a terrible basketball team, the Raptors. And they came in there tonight with a lot of motivation. I think Emmanuel Quickley, especially, because he hasn't really had a chance to play this Knicks team. So they were playing hard. They were doing some nice things. They were as ferocious as they could be defensively. And you went out and you figured out how to blow them out, which you did. Again, it was a 26-point lead late in the fourth quarter. I don't care about the garbage time points to make the score a little bit more respectable for Toronto. Feel good about this one if you're a Knicks fan. Am I going to sit here and say that we should all be feeling confident going into the Oklahoma City game on Friday? I don't know that I can say that. That being said, should anybody be surprised if they beat OKC on Friday? No, I won't be, because that's what this team's capable of. Got to remember how to shoot, and got to do more of what we saw in the second half tonight. But they're capable. They're eminently capable. So good stuff there, which will lead me to my autograph signature moment of the game. We're going to do a shot that in the moment I thought was particularly significant. And again, I've been called out for choosing kind of quirky moments for these autograph signature moments of the game, and I might choose another one. Karl-Anthony Towns in the beginning of the fourth quarter hit a step back three to make it 89-76. And the fact that this was a 10-point game going into the fourth quarter, and the Knicks had a couple of early possessions in the fourth quarter that I did not think were particularly good. He hit that three, and it just gave me an air of confidence about the game and how it was going to play out, because I was like, okay, Cat's back. They have no one who could stop him. which is actually funny of me to say because I said his stat line before, he was 9 of 14 from the field. He actually probably should have been like 12 of 14 or 13 of 14 because the couple of shots that he missed around the rim were like, you wanted to hit those, but they had no answer for him. And that I think was a reminder to everybody in the building, like, you got no answer for me. And I thought it was just a really significant moment. So that's our autograph signature moment of the game. My Macri 3x3 video, which usually goes up on Monday, it's going up tomorrow. So check the autograph app for that. You'll get that tomorrow. That's a Macri exclusive on there. And go on autograph, get rewarded for your fandom, the whole thing. Last thing before I get to the super chats. We're not 100% planning on doing this announcement now. The official rollout is going to be on Thursday, but big news in the Knicks Film School content creation world, which is that we are adding a little something, a little feature, if you will, or two features in the form of the two best X's and O's film guys in the business to our Patreon. So starting again today, officially, we made it available for people to get in on. Benji Ridholtz and DJ Zulo, who you know from their film threads on Twitter, you know from appearances that they've made on various platforms. You know them obviously from the shows that I've done with them, from Postgames, from X's and O's live streams, from all kinds of different things, and probably most significantly, at least recently, their film sessions on the YouTube channel. They are now going to be part of the Knicks Film School Patreon package. So up until now, we've basically had what we've been calling the mellow tier, which is $7 a month, get you a bonus podcast every week from me and Andrew. And then we had a much higher tier, the Monroe tier, $15 a month, which got you the podcast plus a town hall every month. And now we are, and an ad-free version of the pod is also on the mellow tier. Andrew is reminding me. I always forget to say that. Now we have a little bit of something that's a little bit in between, and we're calling it the Brunson tier. And the Brunson tier, named after Jalen Brunson, number 11, is going to be $11 a month. So, trying to make it fair. And you're going to get the bonus podcast every week with me. And now it's going to be with me and sometimes Benji, sometimes DJ, and sometimes me and Benji and DJ. All three of us together. And that's going to be coming your way every week, in which we talk a little bit about the NBA at large. Maybe we'll touch on a Knicks thing or two. And that's going to be coming your way again every week. And then here's the real kicker. You're going to be getting, if you want, a ton more content from Benji and DJ. So Benji is going to start expanding on his grades that he puts out on Twitter. That's going to be on the Brunson tier for Patreon. They are both going to be doing additional film breakdowns. That's going to be on the Brunson tier for Patreon. It's a ton of stuff. I'm not going to go through everything right now, but if you're interested, all you got to do is just Google Patreon KFS or Patreon Knicks Film School. The link is also going to be in the description of this episode, I'm sure. So you can just go there, click on it. And again, it's right there. It's the Brunson tier. And you'll see everything that you could get. So again, trying not to price anybody out, trying to make it fair for people who want to get a little bit more Knicks in their lives, and specifically a little bit more DJ and Benji in their life. And now GMAC is here to tell me what I missed.
Yes, this link that John is alluding to, this mysterious link that John's alluding to, is currently pinned in the Knicks Film School live chat. So if you just want to click that link, go right ahead and sign up. If you're listening on the playback, it's hyperlinked in your audio episode description, as well as in the description on YouTube. It's the first link under there. It's where the for an ad-free version, ad-free audio version of this pod, just click that link. You can either upgrade to the Brunson tier if you're in the Mellow or Hart tier. And look, as someone who's been doing the pod with John for years, just want to say thank you. to everyone that's listened for years, and I'm excited for this next chapter of Knicks Film School Knicks Film School on Patreon with Benji and DJ. But I gotta say, this is gonna help me out a lot just with the extra time. My life is in such disorder at the moment, John. I gotta tell you, like lately, I've just can I kvetch for a second? Is it all right with you, John?
Please.
So like football ended, and as you know, I'm no longer a Jets fan, and I haven't really had a chance to watch. And I was going through my finances, and I realized that I've been paying for Red Zone without really watching Red Zone for the last month. And
what are you doing?
I realized also I've been paying for League Pass twice. You know, I barely watch any of the streaming channels like Amazon Prime. I don't really watch that anymore, and yet I've been paying for that. All these subscriptions that I go to, and this is going to give me the extra time to potentially even sign up for the Brunson tier if I'm like, if only there was a service that would help me to know what my subscriptions are at all times and really sort them out. Do you have any advice, John, as a father of 2 and now 3 with the dog? I don't understand how that works, how you can balance all that, because I don't have any kids. But any assistance you could potentially give me, John?
You know, it's funny you say that, because I was actually going to come on and talk about our friends from Rocket Money. So Rocket Money, yeah, exactly. Really.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know.
What timing?
It's a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills, so you can grow your savings. They actually have, Andrew, I don't know if you know this, over 5 million users, and have saved a total of $500 million.
$5 million, John?
$500 million.
$500 million? Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's Juan Soto numbers.
Close. In canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. If you listened to a recent episode, you heard me talk about how I wiped away some subscriptions that I got when our kids were much younger that I don't need anymore. And there's like, I can't even tell you some of the, I'm embarrassed to say some of the stuff that I did not even realize that I was paying for. And now I'm not paying for it anymore because of Rocket Money. And so if you too want to be like Andrew,
like me,
because he's about to take advantage of this, cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster using Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/gameon today. That is rocketmoney.com/gameon, rocketmoney.com/gameon.
That's just like the greatest timing of all time, John. That's actually impressive that you just happened to have exactly what I needed, exactly when I needed it. So thank you, John Macri. Shout out John Macri, everybody. My goodness, I'm sure you're gonna have a happy post game now. We announced the Patreon. You just called an 8 in 2019, not a bad basketball team a couple of minutes ago.
They are not a bad basketball team,
John. They set records for blowouts a week ago. What are you talking about? They literally were getting blown out by 30 a night after the Knicks beat them a week ago.
Yes, but they took that negative energy and they channeled it into motivation tonight, and it did not ultimately work. What? Wait, I don't know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, a simple. My bad. Yeah, would have been like they've one win in their last 15 games, and it was little brother across the borough who is officially committed to the tank.
Well, listen, again, it's not a compliment to the Knicks, but the way the Knicks have been playing, did any Knicks fan feel like this was going to be an automatic W tonight?
We were in the building on Monday. Again, that was our fault what happened, but I'm right there with you. I'm glad they took care of business against a very bad basketball team that is committed to going to the bottom as fast. Started from the bottom and trying to get to the bottom as fast as they can up in Toronto. Okay, right. Enjoy your post game, everybody. Let's go Knicks.
Thank you, Andrew. And again, shout out Rocket Money. Go check them out. It's a great service, and you'll save money because of it. So it's and you can take that money, you can invest in Knicks Film School Patreon, Brunson tier, DJ, Benji, the whole thing. Okay, let's get to the super chats. First up, Chris Smith. Hey, what's going on, Chris? Great to see your name there. First super chat, as I'm not staying up till 2:30 to watch after how shite they've been recently. Win by any means would be welcome. Up the Knicks. Yeah. I don't even think this was a by any means necessary game. This was a, for as much as I talked about on the monologue, them not necessarily fixing the things that we've been kind of bothered by. The theory of the team has always been score a bunch of points, defend well enough. And tonight, they eventually scored a bunch of points. They ended up with 50. Did they actually score the exact same amount of points in the first half and the second half? They scored 55 points in the first half, and they scored 57 points. No, so not exactly the same in the second half. I did think, however, that they took their foot off the gas considerably, and I think this could have easily been a 65-point half because they were kind of on pace for that before the end garbage time there. But yeah, I thought they scored well enough tonight, and again, they defended well enough tonight, given their capability. So again, that's the theory of the team, and they executed it well enough, given their opponent tonight. Thanks, Chris. Matthew Stein, thank you for the contribution, Matthew. Appreciate you. If there's a comment that goes with Matt's contribution, I look forward to seeing it. Robert W. Cross, I wonder how Robert is feeling tonight. First time, long time with your boy John. I feel like it's been a minute or two. It has been a minute or two. Because I wasn't on the post game after the Magic game because that was our KFS outing. And shout out to John Schmielk, who filled in quite admirably for him. I'm better him than me on that game. And then the Bulls game was Benji. So yeah, it's been since the Thunder game when I know you were encouraged and bothered by the refs. Refs were pretty good tonight, by the way. Tom Thibodeau, 2 for 2 on challenges. How you doing? Raptors 0 for 1 on challenges. So that's always nice, too. Thanks, Robert. Khalil D. What's up, KD? Up 25 and still no bench. Listen to Clyde. He got him in. They got him in. But again, like this is where we are at in the season. That, you're getting down to 5 minutes and you're getting down to 4:30 and you're getting down to 4 minutes and everybody has their stopwatches out. And this is what people pay attention to because of the minutes slowed thus far this season. So, I talked about it with Seth Rosenthal. I wrote about it today in the newsletter. It's putting aside my personal feelings on it. I just find it to be an incredibly boring conversation because I just, what are you gonna say? They play a lot of minutes because their coach is who he is. It is what it is. Thanks, KD. Drew P. Does the starter's net rating concern you? PA for Ochai. PA for Ochai. No, I don't think the Knicks or I don't think the Raptors are doing that. Why would they? Ochai Agbaji's still on a rookie contract. I think he's kind of getting a second life. And honestly, I'm not even sure the Knicks would do that. I don't know that. I think both teams say no to that. I think Precious is a guy they at least the Knicks know they could go out there and play for 15, 20 minutes a night if need be. And I don't know that Ochai has proven as much. Starters net rating will go up after this game. I actually have not looked at the starters net rating in a little while, so I'll just look at it right now. How about that? So this is via NBAstats.com. It's plus 5.5 per 100. It was higher. It has gone down recently. Am I concerned about it? I mean, is that where you want to be if you're a contending team? No, it's not. I mean, the Nuggets starting 5 is plus 5.1. Their starting 5 is usually gangbusters. But then you look at starting 5s for OKC and Boston, and those starting 5s are freaking incredible. Cleveland doesn't have any starting 5 that has a ton of minutes, but if you look at the starting 5 that they have right now, they're plus 9. And then there's other teams that aren't as good, like Miami. Their starting 5 is gangbusters, almost 10 plus 10. So is it where it needs to be? No, it's not where it needs to be. It should be better, and it definitely does leave the door open for a conversation about whether, probably would be Hart, right? Goes to the bench, and McBride when he's back, I'm guessing, or maybe they make a trade. I don't know. Someone comes in. Am I concerned about it right now, though? No, I wouldn't say I'm concerned yet. There's a lot of things going against it right now with Brunson shooting slump, and they've been dragging a little bit. And Hart, I don't think Hart was himself for a little while there. And then Mikal Bridges also, we should say. Like, Bridges' whole first 19 games of the season really negatively impacted the starters' net rating. And then after he got going, I thought it was gangbusters for a while. And now it's kind of back down again. So, no, I'm not concerned. Thanks, Drew. Hush, what's going on, Hush? How you doing, bud? Knicks have to do a better job at getting JB more space to operate. Well, they went out and traded for Karl-Anthony Towns. That's a good start. Nonetheless, good win. Great defense. Cat is absurd. Probably our best player, to be honest. Let's go Knicks. Again, best player is, I've said this before. I don't even know how to have that conversation. What does that mean? Is it most talented player? The guy you want? The guy you'd most find most important to be on the floor with 5 minutes left in a close game? If you could only have one guy to build your franchise around, most important guy in the locker room, like all of this stuff factors in. It's an interesting conversation. In my heart of hearts, do I still think Jalen Brunson is their best player? I do. But this season, at least, I think Cat's probably been their MVP. The JB space to operate thing. So there was a look, like, if teams are going to defend him the way that they're like, so the problem is, for one, he's not pulling up from deep. So if he's not pulling up from deep, he becomes a much easier player to defend. And this is the singular area that he has, quite frankly, revolutionized about his game from when he was in Dallas to when he came here. And Benji's been all over this for years. His ability to get a pull-up three in his game changed everything. Made him a top 5 MVP guy last year. If he's not pulling up with confidence, or if he's not going around screens and pulling up behind, if somebody goes under a screen or whatever, I'm not going to say he becomes easy to guard, because obviously he doesn't become easy to guard, but he becomes a lot easier to guard. And so when you have that, and then you have teams feeling very confident sending a guy off of Josh Hart. So really what you're talking about, other than Brunson, self-correcting part of this, I think you're talking about Hart needs to either not be on the floor as much with Brunson. They need to have another shooter out there, or Hart just needs to be a better version of himself. That being said, a moment that I noticed, I'm going to include it in the newsletter tomorrow, is it was, when did this happen? Okay. There was a moment late in the third quarter where they sent a second guy at Brunson, and it was pretty sure it was Precious's guy. And he had a little bit of trouble getting the ball to Precious. Precious didn't come up and get it, and then Precious got the ball, and he did nothing with it. And so the Knicks did not make the Raptors pay at all for sending two at Jalen Brunson. And then they ended up getting some crappy shot off, and they did not score on the possession. The very next time down the floor, they, instead of screening with Precious, screened with Shamet. And they got the switch. And then they brought Precious into the action, I think, and then got another switch, but it was much quicker, it was much cleaner, and they ended up getting a fantastic shot out of the action because they adjusted. And sometimes that's what they just have to do. They just have to adjust to how teams are defending them. I didn't explain the second clip very well, but it was a very impressive difference from what they did the first time around. So we'll look out for the newsletter tomorrow. Thanks, Hush. Sam Garcia's dad. What's up, Ray? How are you? Nice. Needed a get-right game. Someone remind me why people were against us getting Cat. All NBA. I mean, at this point, is he going to make a case for first team? I don't know that I'm there yet. I think who's first team NBA right now? I mean, it would be like SGA or Jokic, SGA, Giannis, and Tatum they're just rock solid. And the fifth spot, I think, because again, Luka's not going to be eligible because he's going to miss too many games. Like there's a few guys like Wemby. I think that's as of right. Like Wemby's going to be in contention for that spot. But if like the Knicks have a much better record than the Spurs, how does that factor in? I don't know. Cat could get himself in the mix for that. I think he could. How many games is KD going to play? How many games are the Suns going to win? That's another part of that conversation. But yeah, man, he's been awesome. Why were people against the trade? I think there's a lot of preconceived notions that people had. And again, it's based on a lot of shit we saw tonight, silly fouls and stuff. And people took that stuff and they put so much weight on it. And then when you combine that with the interviews that he gives, it's sometimes a little silly, and people just formulated opinions on the guy. And then the third part of it, which is like, we do have to wait and see. He has not always been the biggest time performer in the playoffs, but I think that's where the team that he's on right now and his ability to play off a guy like Brunson is going to be such a difference maker for him in the postseason. So we'll see. Thanks, Ray. Juanon, what's going on, Juanon? Scotty Barnes is the most overrated player in the sport. My God, why do you love going in on Scotty Barnes? I don't know why you do, but I love the bit. It's a wonderful bit. He's the third best player on his own team. Darko calling him the future face of the league should be a fireable offense. Hashtag fire Tibbs. Hey, listen, the hashtag fire Tibbs thing isn't as funny now that they're actually the fire Tibbs people are back out there in full force. I don't know. I thought Barnes was good tonight. Was a stat line 7 of 15, 18 points. Had 4 blocks, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. Did a couple nice things. Though he hit some nice shots. It does not feel like he impacts the game anywhere close to the level that you would have to impact the game to truly be a number one guy on a championship team. You don't get that sense from him when he's out there. And you know what? Well, no, I can't say that because they haven't been healthy. But they were healthy tonight. If he was that guy, I'm thinking back to when with him and Grimes. You not him, right? Was that the thing? Or you ain't him or whatever he said. Tonight they had everybody. If Barnes was that guy and you gave him RJ and Quickly and Pirtle, these guys are good. And who was there? And Grady Dick didn't have a great game tonight, 1 of 6, but he's good shooter, threatening shooter. Should be able to do more with it than he's doing. So yeah, is he the most overrated player in the sport? Man, I don't even know because how do you rate someone? Because there's 18 different opinions on every player out there as far as how they're actually rated. But yeah, I don't know. He's in contention, I guess. Thanks, Juanon. Kevin Danishevsky, what's going on, Kev? Cat right now is causing some conversations for anybody listening. Conversations is in all caps. I guess Kevin wanted me to yell conversations, but I have a 9-week-old dog, I think, who is sleeping in the other room. I hope she's sleeping in the other room. I was not about to yell the word conversations. Sorry, Kev. Just so nice to watch 2 Hall of Famers in their prime, though one isn't playing like it. Top 4 MVP candidate. If he breaks into the Jokic, Tatum, Jokic, Tatum. Who did I say again? SGA. He's not passing Jokic, SGA, or Giannis. We know that. So you think he passes Tatum? Man, I mean, I guess the Celtics now. What are the Celtics? Celtics are 27-10. Knicks are 25-13. Man, I don't know. I could see him getting fifth. Maybe that changes. Maybe he keeps going up. As far as he's a Hall of Famer, I think that's a. I mean, this season might. I do not think going into this year. I'll just say this: I do not think going into the season he was on the path to the Hall of Fame. I don't even think that's a controversial statement. I don't even think he was. I don't even know if he was close to the path to the Hall of Fame. 4 All-Stars, 2 All-NBA, 1 conference final, not best player on the conference finalist. Counting stats, 14,000 points I think he got tonight, right? Counting stats are there and will continue to be there. But this season, I think this season can put him, if not back on the path, pretty close to the path. So it's an interesting call by you. And Kev, not Kevin Daniszewski, Kev on the 1s and 2s. One more, and then we'll do the ad. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, Anthony? Get right win. Yeah. I think that's probably the best summation of this. Could lead to a Friday win that would get us back to unreasonably overreacting in a fun way. Wondering about JB's health. Few weeks of some erratic scoring, noticeable hesitation at times. Yeah, it's just been weird because like they talked about it on the broadcast how he's been good from 2 and he was good from 2 for a while. And then like think about him in the first half against the Bulls. Now the Bulls are the worst defense in the league. I know not statistically. I think they are the worst defense in the league. You want to talk about the Washington game a couple weeks ago, that their defense is abhorrent as well. So but like we know when Brunson's going well because there are just places he gets on the court and shots he gets to and shots he gets up that they just go in. And those shots were not going in against Orlando for sure. And I did not feel like they went in tonight. A couple of them went in, but not as many as you think. Like he was 1 of 4 from behind the arc, but from 2, he was 4 of 9. Got the line 4 times. Missed 2 free throws. Another sign that something's up. I kind of do think he's hurt. I mean, this all-star thing, he's good. Here's the thing. He's going to get, unless he really slumps, the coaches will vote him in. I'd be shocked if he slumped to the level. I mean, it'd be bad for the Knicks too if he slumped to the level. But the reason I'm dancing around this is like, you want to talk about a guy who could use a week off during All-Star break? It's Jalen Brunson. But he's just not going to sit games. And by the way, whatever version of JB we have right now is so vastly superior to what we would have if he was not there. And I know they won a game without him with campaign starting against the Jazz, but like that was the Jazz. I don't know. Should he sit? It's maybe it's a conversation. I think right now I would skew on the side of like he knows his body. The Knicks just went out and hired a big time, doctor from the Mavs who's like very widely respected. Like if he shouldn't be playing, he wouldn't be playing. That's what I'm going to say. But I agree with you. Something's up. Thanks, Anthony. Okay. Quick word from our friends. We have a lot of friends. Love our friends here. From BetUS. So if you're looking for a new book this basketball season, I mean, we're a third of the way into the season. I hope, you found your book by now. But if you haven't, BetUS is your answer. You want to use that YouTube or that code, the promo code, YouTube 150. Get that 150% bonus on your first deposit. plus 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. Who's like free money? I love it. They have all of the things you could possibly want with the personalized service every day and the live wagering and the betting variety and 10% back on your net losses twice a year. Personal account manager, the whole thing. Again, YouTube 150 is the code to get those perks. And gambling involves risk. Don't forget that. Only gamble with funds you can afford to lose. All forms of betting carry financial risk. It is down to you, the individual, to make bets with or without the assistance of the information provided. Okay. Thank you, BetUS. Our sponsor. We love them. Ethan Jaffe. What's going on, Ethan? How are you? I feel like Towns could easily average 32 a game. Undecided if quick decisions on handoffs are better in the long run than constantly taking over. It's such a fascinating question. And I don't use that word loosely or lightly. I don't think that is his personality. And I think the times where he gets in trouble are when I don't want to use the word, uses the term forces it, but like when he's like, oh, this is like, look at how they're guarding me here. I'm Karl-Anthony Towns. I have to do this thing, even though it might not be the best thing in the moment, and the best thing in the moment, despite like what seems to be like an invitation to do X, the best thing might be like, no, let me use my gravity in a different way and do Y and keep working it, because when their offense, man, like where I'd love to see him get to, and I think he's capable of it, and this may be overkill, like I'd love to see him get to like 5 assists a game. I think he right now, I'll pull it up real quick. But he's, because he has that in him. Like he has the passing in him. Right now he is at 3.3 assists a game. Like that's the thing to me, more than like, oh, Towns could easily average over 32 a game. I think he could easily average over 5 assists a game. And if you look at his scoring average right now, Karl-Anthony Towns is averaging 25.3 points per game. So the difference between that and 32 would be like, so what's that? Is 6.7 points, right? If he went from like 3.3 assists to like 5.5 assists, and like one of those assists was a 3-pointer, then it's almost like it's like the same difference. You know what I mean? He's just such an interesting player to me, because you're not wrong at all. You're spot on. And it's a combination of like what he wants and like, thinking back to like The Secret of Basketball, right? With in the Simmons book, it's when teams like reach this plane of existence where it's just all for one for all, and it's all unselfish, and it is truly the sum of the parts. And like no team has ever exemplified that better than the Knicks team that won 2 championships. Like, talk about a guy that could average a hell of a lot more points, or multiple guys that could average. Well, forget it. All those guys. Reed, Frazier, friend of the pod, Bill Bradley, friend of the pod, Clyde Frazier too. DeBusschere, that wasn't really his thing, but like all those guys could, Stallworth, Barnett, like all those guys could have scored more. But and then it's just this like constant push and pull of like, okay, when do you use your gravity for yourself, and when do you use your gravity and your skills and your talents, for others? And when you get a team that finds the perfect balance, you when you see it, you know it. And I don't. It's become, I don't know. The sport has become so formulaic in some ways that I don't know that we see it as much. Like the best example that I've ever seen in my life personally was the 2013-14 Spurs. I think some Warriors teams got there. some of the Jokic, Jokic Nuggets teams, they probably got there too. And that's an interesting comp for Cat is Jokic, who this year is scoring a ton because he feels like he needs to, and he probably does need to. But is that what's best for his team? Is that when they are operating at their best? Like that's a different conversation. So anyway, good one, Ethan. I appreciate that. SF New York, what's going on? I am super glad to see RJ and Emmanuel Quickly doing well. Yeah, I thought Quickly had a better game than RJ. I thought RJ started to force it a little bit too much as the game went on, and yet you look up and he still had what do you have? 16 on 15 shots. So not the most efficient game for RJ. Only had 2 assists. That's the biggest difference between this RJ game and the RJ game and the game he had in Toronto against us. His passing in that game in Toronto was just like it was as good. And that's been one of the big differences between him at home versus him on the road this season. Fucking Quickly had 22 points on 12 shots. I mean, and I thought his decision making was impeccable. Look, Emmanuel Quickly played 31 minutes. He was +7 in a game. His team lost by 14 points. So, really good game from Emmanuel Quickly. Thanks, SF New York. Kevin Danishevsky with another one. Can McCall hit a no-dip 3 ever? He's like 0 for 100. I don't know, man. I think his shots been pretty consistent since the beginning of the season. I think he's just in a little bit of a slump. He'll be fine. Like, I'll pull up their stats for the season as of right now. I think these are probably updated, but I'll double check. So for the year, because have they played 38 games? Is this right? Yeah, they played 38 games. Okay. So I'll actually update for everybody. So Towns for the year is shooting 45% from 3. He's ridiculous. Brunson, believe it or not, is still at 38.6%. That's a combination of A, he was at 45 point something percent before this slump, and B, he's not taking a lot of threes now. Bridges is down to 34.2%. I think most of that is from the last couple games. OG is at 35.7%, which is probably right around where he should be. And if somebody would have told you that Josh Hart would be the team's 3rd highest percentage 3-point shooter through 38 games, I mean, I don't know what the hell I would have said. He's at 37.3%. And they're really missing McBride. 4.7 attempts a game, 40%, but that's only in 24 and a half minutes. So they just really need to get McBride back. And yeah, they need Brunson to start shooting again. But yeah, Bridges is a part of that as well. Thanks, Kev. Justin Richards. What's going on, Justin? Say this sentence out loud. The 3-seed Knicks are going to get blown out by the Toronto Raptors in the second half. People need to check themselves and relax. Look, here's the thing. I don't even know how to defend this. People are going to fan how they're going to fan. I don't. I'm not overreactionary or even reactionary by nature, but I feel like there are times where my distaste for I would always rather believe that things are okay when they can be okay. Like I'm always just going to be a glass half full kind of guy, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that instinct has not always been correct. That said, at no point this season when I thought about the team as a whole or I thought about any individual player have I ever been worried? Like really worried about anything long term, including this Michigas about the minutes. I'm not that doesn't worry me in the slightest. I have long-term concerns about whether this team can rise whether they are, let me rephrase that, whether they are actually going to win. I can't sit here right now and be like, they're definitely going to win a championship in the next 4 years, because I don't know that. I don't believe that. I think they can. I think they might. But everybody's different. I don't know. Everybody's different. Thanks, Justin. Dave Simonetti. What's going on, Dave? John and GMAC, love what you guys do. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you. We love you. Do you think with a healthy Mitch, we could be the Cavs' kryptonite, a la the last time we played them in the playoffs? That's a great question, and it's a question that I was thinking of tonight. I had the Raptors on my second screen, or the Cavs on my second screen, and I can't sit here and tell you that I was paying close attention to the game, because obviously I was paying close attention to the Knicks game, but I was trying to, like, anytime there was a stoppage in play or anything like that, I was trying to, eyeball over. And I did catch the sequence that decided the game, where the Cavs essentially had a possession that lasted like close to a minute or something in the last couple minutes of the game. And we punked them 2 years ago. And they could not keep us off the boards. And we, with Mitchell Robinson especially, but also Isaiah Hartenstein, had the ability to do that. If Mitch comes back, even if he's like peak Mitch, which I don't know if we're going to get that. I don't know when we're going to get that. I don't know how much he's going to play. Now, maybe you want to tell me in a series against the Cavs, you want to tell me he should play, 30 minutes a night? I'm sure it'll be a conversation if we get to that. The Cavs, though, right now, like, their defense was great that season. And I didn't think their defense in that series was bad. Their defense was fine. The Knicks won the series by how they defended the Cavs. And obviously the offensive rebounds were a big part of the Knicks' offensive ability. But this Cavs offense now, what they're able to do and the shots that they generate, and like what I was talking about a few minutes ago, with like when you see a team that reaches that higher level of basketball existence, it. The team this year, more than anybody, and it's not fucking close, that has reached that level is the Cavs. And all you gotta do is watch them. Watch them for 5 minutes. Watch their starters. Watch their bench. Doesn't matter. They put up how many points tonight? 129 points on a defense that is on pace to be the greatest freaking defense of the modern era. And they did it like it was nothing. Like it was nothing. We'll go through the scoreboard in a second, but they did it like it was nothing. The stat that I was going to look up, and I'll just get it real quick here. So rebounding in the league this year, Knicks, for anybody interested, a fifth best rebounding team in the league. They're not elite at either defensive rebounding or offensive rebounding. They're sixth in defensive rebounding, and they are 13th in offensive rebounding. By the way, tonight, offensive rebounding for the Knicks played a big role. Haven't mentioned that. It was a big part of the win tonight, and we should shout it out. The Cavs are the 18th best rebounding team in the league. And breaking that down, they are 21st in defensive rebounding, and they are 23rd in offensive rebounding. So based on those statistics, is the pathway there to muck up a series? I guess. But boy, oh boy, I don't know that playing two bigs a lot of minutes, which is if what you're talking about, the way to do that would be to play Mitch a bunch. Playing two bigs, neither of which is not ideally suited for a switching defense. And if like these Cavs, man, they get you in rotation, and you want to have 2 7-footers out there running around chasing after freaking Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland or Karis LeVert or Max Strus or all these guys, and now you got a kind of elevated version of Mobley, much more so than what you had a couple of years ago, where he could do all kinds of things, make a shot more easily, make a pass certainly more easily. they're going to be a tough out. I mean, they're what are they here? Well, let's go over to the scoreboard. So scoreboard presented as always by our friends at T Squared Social. Of course, there's a watch party this weekend, this Friday night against the Thunder, who the aforementioned Cavs beat tonight. Come join us on 42nd Street, just on the block from Grand Central Station. Be there or be T Squared. And if you can't make it on Friday, that's okay. Visit T Squared another time. Mention KFS sent you and get a free draft beer. You could also visit them on tsquaredsocial.com to learn about club memberships, trivia nights, sports leagues, and much more. So, the Cavs, they won tonight over the Oklahoma City Thunder by a final score of 129-122. They, in that game, made 15 of 36 from three, which is par for the course for them. They're the best three-point shooting team in the league. They shot 52.2% overall. Again, par for the course. They always shoot it great. And they actually out-rebounded the Thunder 40-38. Now, the one thing you could say is Oklahoma City a good matchup for them because Oklahoma City's biggest weakness is their inability to rebound. So it's two teams that are not great rebounding teams. The Cavs are better than the Thunder, arguably. So maybe the Knicks are actually a little bit of a tougher matchup. I can't wait to see the Knicks Cavs games for the rest of this year. So we'll see what happens there. Other scores from around the association. Trailblazers beat the Pelicans tonight. Denny Avdia, someone asked me about him as a trade target recently. He had 26 points and 6 rebounds. Trailblazers 13-23, Pelicans 7-31. Pistons beat the Nets. They are now a game over 500. I'll do a standings check in a bit. Sixers, closer than it should have been win, seems like it, over the Wizards, but they are now 15-20. Pacers beat the Bulls. The Bulls, of course, have not been able to score since we played them, of course, although they kind of got going in the second half there. Bucks are playing the Spurs right now. Spurs on a bit of a run, and the Nuggets are beating up on the Clippers. And it give me an opportunity, and I should have said something at the beginning of the show. I'll say it now. Prayers, thoughts, prayers, everything to everybody out in LA. I like my family and I were out in LA this summer. Fell in love with it. Fell in love with Southern California as a whole. And it's just like, I mean, you would hate for this to happen anywhere, but it's just like, man, it's like just the perfect place. And then this happened, and it seems like this is just an issue that keeps happening, and I don't know what to say, but like, I just can't even imagine as a person that has a family, a mortgage, the whole thing, like the realities of life, like the thought of just like losing everything. I can't even. Yeah. So thoughts out to everybody out there, and I hope this ends soon because it's just it's devastating. All right, that is your out of town scoreboard presented by T Squared Social. We're finishing up. Kevin Danishevsky from the Strickland. IQ was a +7 and RJ was a -18. No changes. Well, I mean, I did not think RJ had a good game. I thought Emmanuel Cookie had an exceptional game. So, yeah. Lunas, what's going on, Lunas? Lunas, I'm all right. I feel like I haven't heard from you that much this year. Hope everything is good. Kind of interested what our net rating would be if we weren't the worst garbage time team. Yeah, right. Well, again, cleaning the glass filters out garbage time. I don't think they have tonight. They don't have tonight's game. I don't think factored in, but I'll go and I'll check cleaning the glass regardless. Maybe they do have tonight. Oh no, they do have tonight. So this is cleaning the glass. So I'll give you a comparison of how cleaning the glass jives with NBA stats. So cleaning the glass, you got Cleveland at plus 12.7. You got You got Oklahoma City at plus 12.0. So actually, I'll go back and forth. Okay. So cleaning the glass, number one is Cleveland, 12.7, plus 12.7. NBA stats, which does not filter out garbage time, Cavs are in second at plus 11.3. Cleaning the glass, OKC is in second at plus 12. NBA stats, Oklahoma City, plus 11.6. So not nearly as big of a drop-off as Cleveland, but those are your top two teams. Third place, Boston for both. Cleaning the glass, plus 11. NBA stats, plus 10.4. So you got a drop of 0.6. Fourth place on both sites, Memphis, plus 8.6 on cleaning the glass, plus 7.6 on NBA stats. And then the Knicks, the biggest difference of any of these top five teams. On cleaning the glass, the Knicks are plus 8.2, so a little bit behind Memphis. Memphis 8.6, New York plus 8.2. On NBAstats.com, plus 7. So it's a difference of 1.2 points per 100 possessions when you factor in or you eliminate, as it were, garbage time. Even so, Knicks still have the best or the fifth best net rating in the league. They have the third best offense on both sites, although they are much closer to the second place Celtics on cleaning the glass than they are on NBAstats.com. And then defensive rating, NBA.com, 14th, 112.2. Cleaning the glass, which filters out garbage time. Where the hell are they? They're 15th, actually, at 113.3. So cleaning the glass, the difference is like they're according to cleaning the glass in garbage time, it's been their offense that has been much worse than during regular time. But their defense is actually, according to this, in garbage time, it seems like their defense has been a little better if you go by cleaning the glass. We'll see. Thanks, Lunas. Danishevsky with another one. Are we the worst garbage time team ever? Boucher goat. It's not great. It's not great. And look, McBride said it earlier this season. This is where you earn his trust. So guys that go out there in garbage time and they don't perform, matters. Thanks, Kev. Dom the dentist. What's going on, Dom? Always good to hear from you and see you. Long time, John. Always listening and terrorizing the SS chat. But been a while since I sent in a super chat. HT hat tip. I don't know what HT stands for. I think our true contender status is next year. I've been talking about this with a couple people recently. I don't want to sit here and be like, this year doesn't matter, or I would never say that. And even if you were like, next year is the year, they assembled this team. They put the investment in, they're in it to win it. Oh, hot take. That's what HT stands for. Hot take. I think our true contender status is next year. Okay, here's what I'm going to tell you. It's not a hot take. It's not a hot take at all. It takes time to build contenders. And that goes triply, quadruply, quintuply so in an era where if you get above one apron, it's like the moment you step foot above that apron, it's there's a barrage of arrows being shot at you. And then if you get above the second apron, it's all of the arrows, and you're also having, flaming something being thrown down on you. I'm imagining someone going up a ladder. That's where this analogy came from. It was terrible. Anyway, it's hard. It's really hard. And the Knicks are, up Schitt's Creek in terms of what they're able to do. Salary cap wise and making trades and all that sort of jazz. And I think they're gonna make another significant addition or adjustment to this roster. It's just a matter of when. And are they going to be able to do it? And you heard the Windy report from over the weekend say I don't think the Knicks are going to be doing anything drastic before this deadline. So, I don't think it's a hot take, Dom. And by the way, if we have to wait a year for them to be like a true to be the best version of themselves, let's say, we've been waiting 52 years as it is. What's another year? Thanks, Tom. And then I think this is the last one. Alex. How you doing? Everybody should join the Brunson tier. Cat and Cut article today was dope. Also, could you talk about the minutes more? I know it's your favorite topic. I'm actually going to be hosting a separate Patreon exclusive for just you, Alex. I'm going to send you the link, and it's going to be me hosting a podcast in which just you listen to me talk about the minutes for an hour. No, that's not something I'm going to do. Yes, the article that Benji posted today, it is called The Cat and the Cut, was phenomenal. I got a chance to read it ahead of its posting last night. Benji has not written anything in a while. And let me tell you, folks, for him, it is like riding a bike because he put some magic into those fingertips where when he pumped out this article, it's an exceptional look at actually, I should have thought of this when I was having the whole cat conversation before. It's an exceptional dive into the very thing that we were talking about before, which is like, what are the Knicks' best? Like, how are they at their best on offense, at least? What is Cat doing? And he really gets into the impact of his passing and their cutting around his passing and how that has changed the Knicks offense so much. And there's obviously a bunch of film clips and it's just, it's really good. So again, one more plug, join the Brunson tier. Like, you'll pay more for a sandwich than you will for this. It's only a monthly fee. A sandwich lasts, 10 minutes, 8 minutes if I'm eating it. This is $11 a month, so you could do worse. And again, you get the free pod, you get the ad-free version of the pod, and you get they're doing a whole bunch of other stuff, Benji and DJ too. It's like it's all there on Patreon. Check it out. And we will end with that, I think. Kev, thank you for being on the ones and twos tonight. Appreciate you as always. Thanks for GMAC hopping up here and talking about his finances. And thanks everybody for tuning in to another episode of the Knicks Film School Postgame Show, presented, of course, by BetUS. Please like this video. Subscribe. We're making that push to get to 20,000 YouTube subscribers. It has been a steady climb over the last few years. We started doing these things on YouTube, post-game shows on YouTube about 5 years ago. I think we had about 1,000 subscribers 5 years ago. We're making the push to 20,000 now. So help us get there. And then obviously, if you dig the pod, leave a positive review, leave a 5-star rating. And we appreciate those things. Pre-game pod tomorrow ahead, actually, I shouldn't say that. Either tomorrow or it's ahead of OKC. There's going to be another pre-game pod. Yes, I said presented by BetUS, Kev. But GMAC will be back with that. And yeah, just one more plug for the Patreon. I'm recording tomorrow night with DJ and Benji and GMAC. We are doing a very fun and inventive draft in which we will be drafting amongst all 30 teams. And I guarantee you have never heard another podcast NBA draft episode like the one that we are going to be recording tomorrow night. So check that out on Friday. Again, dropping on the Patreon feed. We will see you very soon. Enjoy the rest of your week. Peace out.